Hi everyone, this is Into the Wild. I am your host, Daniel Maticia, and I'm here with
Shayna Stray
and Sarah Willis.
And what are we here to talk about?
We are here to talk about our new puppetry performance called Jerkwater.
Work. So, describe your project in 3 words. Good luck.
Okay. I'm gonna say suburban, control, and
Vapors.
yeah.
You said suburbia. What do you mean?
Well, Sarah and I grew up in the same town, actually. We have been friends for a long time, and we grew up in like New Jersey suburban town, and so we're kind of pulling on that as some inspiration, but it really for us is like what lurks beneath that kind of veneer of suburbia and what's sort of like bubbling up in kind of these mysterious ways.
Suburbia, scary place. I wouldn't know, I'm from the city. How does it haunt people?
I think that probably everyone has their own experience, obviously, but I think looking back, I would say we had like a good childhood and it was very positive on the surface, but then maybe with some distance, you look back at certain things and you're like, oh, well, maybe there was something else going on there or something that I didn't realize at the time. And so maybe those 2 layers you're sort of like contending with as you get further away from it. You still have the positive memories, but you're also maybe thinking about things that were like darker or more sinister that weren't as like present when you were there.
For me, I feel like it's more symbolic. Like after in my early 20s watching like David Lynch and Blue Velvet, that movie, and like basically it starts out in this like beautiful suburban town and then it like goes into the grass and you see all these beetles like fighting each other, and just the idea that these things exist simultaneously. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about the subconscious and the subterranean and like dreams and Carl Jung and stuff like that. And it's just like so much of the time we're pretending that everything is in this like conscious level. And I think for us, we're trying to get into that kind of like murky, dreamy subconscious layer that sometimes is like nonverbal and sort of hard to articulate, but it's just this like feeling more so of than like an actual event or something.
So you brought up David Lynch. Do you have a favorite film of his?
I love Blue Velvet. I've been like returning to it frequently, just as like thinking about the structure and the arc, but I don't know. Yeah.
Blue Velvet's great. I also love Mulholland Drive.
So puppets ain't people. How do they differ?
Yeah.
So, like, what is it about puppetry that you find really interesting compared to?
Yeah, well, I think with a puppet, in what I've learned and what I've experienced is that it's sometimes easier for an audience to project onto a puppet more so than an actor, because, an actor can go home at the end of the day. This is what my teacher, Dan Harlan, would always talk about. He's like, actor, it's like Timothée Chalamet. It's like, we know that's Timothée Chalamet. But when it's a puppet, that it's made for that purpose. So there's no other life. And after the show, there's no continuation of life. And so I think for an audience, sometimes that abstraction is actually easier to project on than an actor. So it's like, when something becomes a little bit more abstract, it kind of can hit more into that subconscious zone that we're talking about. I think the puppets that we're using aren't really figurative puppets. Like, I'm really interested in different kinds of, experimentation with media. So like in our show, we're using a lot of 2D hand-drawn backgrounds and then sort of mysterious, kind of unlikely uses of green screen that we're keying out live with like a live feed camera. So maybe it's less of a normal kind of like figurative puppet.
So your show is a mixed media show. What's awesome about that? What do you love about it?
I think, Shayna can speak to like the mechanics of making a lot of the animation and the puppetry more than I can, but I think like from a writing perspective, it's exciting to be able to kind of like think really far outside the box and not be limited to like, all right, well, what could we practically do with 2 people just in a space with, not a huge set or a lot of like production value in that way. And so you can really let your imagination kind of run wild and do a lot more when you're incorporating these different forms of like animation and puppetry and stuff like that.
Yeah. My friend speaks my mind. I think I would say the same thing. Just that with puppetry, you can do anything. Like, we're like, oh, and then maybe the portrait becomes alive and melts off the wall. And we can only do that because we have a mini, small scale background that's on a live feed camera. So, you know, if we had $1 million, maybe like $100 million, we could do some crazy, you know, large scale thing. But to be able to have the power to make something small and be able to create a live piece of theater that has all those elements is really exciting.
Do you prefer working in theater or film?
I think we work in both a lot. Like I love fluctuating between the two. Like I just made an animation and now I'm like, oh, I miss theater and I miss, incorporating these elements live, and being with an audience in real time is something that you can't really get anywhere else. So, you know, watching your film back with a live audience is one experience, but co-creating it with the audience and being influenced by them is like, there's nothing better.
Yeah. And I think people forget that the audience is like your seventh actor, you know?
Definitely.
What I mean? Like it's the other person in the room that you have to continue to connect with. So clearly y'all are friends. What's it like working with your friend?
Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, we've worked together a lot. We've been friends for a long time. We like met doing theater, so I feel like when you can have like a shorthand and have similar sensibilities, but also each bring something different, it's just super fun. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And Sarah's a writer and an actor, and I just love her sense of humor and her sensibility, and it's so fun to just trust someone. I'm like, okay, Sarah's gonna write it, and then we're gonna work on it together and build it together. But it's just like, yeah, very exciting to have that trust, and like Sarah said, referencing things we did in like literally 2007, 2014. Like it's just this really long-standing collaborative partnership.
I love that. I love joint language when you know exactly what the other person is thinking.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. So have y'all seen the Muppets? do you have a favorite Muppet?
Is Snuffleupagus a Muppet? That big mammoth? Snuffleupagus.
No, 'cause
he's on Sesame Street.
I completely didn't remember who that was. Because I was like, who? The moment you said it.
Snuffleupagus is just like a giant mammoth that's like furry. Am I hallucinating that?
I believe you.
Okay.
So that's your favorite Muppet? Yeah. What is your favorite Muppet?
I mean, I'm not like so deep in the Muppets myself, but I would say, I mean, Miss Piggy's great.
I was gonna say Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
It's like one thing about her, she can throw a fit, and I live for her both physically and mentally. That's a woman of distinction.
I think she would love this.
I think she would too.
She would be front row.
That was gonna be our next question: is who do you think would be front row for your show?
Yeah, I think we need to get a comp for Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy is comped. Or Bert and Ernie are not Muppets. Okay. Who are the Muppets? Kermit.
Kermit, I think, would love a show like this.
Kermit might be lukewarm.
Kermit enjoy
I have some notes.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Thank
this was
you.
super fun. This has been Into the Wild. See you next time.